Welcome to Actions and Limits. This is the Thanksgiving Day episode of our show. My name is Justin Atherton. I'm a personal coach and the founder of Confidence Unchained. With me as always is Paul Fortune. Paul is a business coach and the founder of A Call to Action. And together, we make Actions and Limits.
I wish turkey only cost a nickel. Oh, I love turkey on Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Welcome to the show, the podcast where we talk about the actions we can take and the limits we create. Paul, Thanksgiving is coming. I'm super excited. I know you are too.
I'm very, very hungry. I can't wait.
I know it's my favorite holiday. It's also your favorite holiday. So, and we have a special guest with us. If you want to introduce her, Paul?
Yes, a friend of mine, Megan Warren, right? The new last name is Warren, right? Did I get that right?
Correct. Yep. It's not that new anymore, Paul. It's been a long time.
Okay, well, she reminded me the other day that we've been friends for 21 years,
Oh,
and that
wow.
our friends
Yeah.
legally drink.
Say it again. You cut out for a second. I want to make sure we got that.
We've been friends for 21 years, and Megan reminded me that our friendship can legally drink now.
That's good. That's a good reminder that your friendship can actually legally drink. So, great
A
to
reminder of how old we are, too.
right. Let's not, we don't have to go into all that, because we're all about the same age. So, well, great to have you on the show. We're doing this episode a little bit different. It's our, Thanksgiving episode. So, going to kind of be sharing, some stories, of, Thanksgiving and what we've experienced, and then later we're going to have you go into some recipes that you can share with some of our listeners that maybe aren't so keen in the kitchen, like something easy we can get together. So you have any stories, Paul, like for Thanksgiving recipes you tried?
Before we get into that, let's talk to Megan a little bit, so get her background.
Sure.
So Megan, I obviously been friends with you 21 years. I kind of know your background a little bit. I know that you graduated from Cal State Fullerton with a radio television degree, and I believe you for many years were in the industry, but then have changed. So if you could go over that with us a little bit.
It's true. Paul, I am not impressed that you remembered that because you have the same degree from the same university. So it would actually be really depressing if you didn't remember that. So yeah, we graduated, I won't say the year, but it was a long time ago. I moved to LA, worked in TV and film and marketing of TV and film for, 15 years. It took its toll. That's why I have all these gray hairs now. And, at a certain point, I just said, this is for chumps. And I left and I moved to Portland, Oregon. I got my real estate license. I've been selling houses like crazy for the last 3+ years. Have a wonderful husband, hence the name change, and an adorable little kid who just turned 5 over the weekend.
Awesome.
So life is good. It's definitely different than 21 years ago when we were singing in the back of a Disneyland kitchen. But all changes for the better.
So what made you go to Portland?
It was quality of life. We don't have family here. There wasn't a real impetus. We made a list of all the things that were important to us, and we started at the top and worked our way down. And Portland was, I think, the 3rd city we visited. And as soon as we got here, we said we never want to leave. Let's settle down. It's a great city. It's appropriately sized. It's affordable compared to LA, not affordable to everybody, but
Sure.
That's a different story. Schools are good, air quality is amazing. It's just a beautiful, beautiful city, and I feel so lucky to be here. Just today, I was driving down my street, and all the leaves are turning, and it's fall, and it's like perfect Thanksgiving weather. You guys should come up here and eat turkey with me.
Yeah, Paul, you don't have seasons out there, right? In LA, it's just like the same temperature year round, right?
Well, we have hot and not so hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and fire season. Don't forget fire season.
and fire. Yeah, well, yeah, we're going through that now. But yeah, no, that's part of the appeal that I like about California. But I, yeah, obviously grew up here, so I'm a little biased there. So a realtor, that's kind of a big change there, Megan. What? Why a realtor?
I love real estate. I always have. You know, it's something that I've always been fascinated by. I bought my first house in 2010 and renovated it, and it was a really, really good time to buy. It was during the downturn, so prices were low, interest rates were low. They were qualifying anyone just to get people to buy these houses that were sitting around. So I was lucky to be able to do that as a single woman on a one income in Los Angeles. I don't think that's possible anymore. And so ever since then, I've just been fascinated by it. And I thought, hey, the thing that always scared me was not having a steady paycheck, having to work on commission. It's a little bit terrifying when you're used to having a steady job that's salaried or even hourly. But then I thought, if I'm ever I have to change anyway, moving to Portland. And so if I'm ever going to try it, now's the time. And luckily, again, I have a husband that has a steady job, and he was able to, provide some security for making that switch. And so I just did it, just jumped in with both feet and never looked back and don't regret it at all. And then I started out as a traditional real estate agent, working strictly on commission, paying a lot of money to my brokerage for not a lot of return. And then I switched earlier in January 2018 to Redfin. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Redfin.
Yes, I am.
I know you would be.
Go ahead and explain it to us,
because
I have no idea.
It's a real estate brokerage. It's based out of Seattle, but we have offices in every state now and even in Canada. And they just treat real estate a little bit differently. So the agents are actually W-2 employees. We have full health benefits, 401ks.
Oh, wow.
They provide us all of our expenses and dues, and all that stuff is paid. So instead of me paying to be part of a brokerage and paying for marketing and paying for licensing and all of that, Redfin pays me to do it. So it's actually really great. And in exchange, I close a lot of houses for them. They make a lot of money and everybody's happy. And the clients love it because they have the best app in the business. We're all paid based on our customer surveys. So if I get less than a 9, my pay gets docked. Hasn't happened yet, knock on wood, but it's always dangling there. So I'm always incentivized to get people the best possible deal and have the best experience. So I like it. Clients like it. My bosses are happy. It's working out well for all of us.
That's great. Where do you go from here? Like, what are your aspirations moving forward with that?
Well, I've been not joking to my husband and to my bosses about opening Redfin in the UK. I would love to relocate at some point to the UK or somewhere in Europe, and it would be fun to be able to take my career with me and still work for a company that I love. So Redfin has to actually do that. I'm waiting on them to get off their butts and expand to the UK already, so I could do that too. But yeah, that would be the dream.
You can be the first franchise out there. You just force it upon them, right? Be like, hey, look, this is where I'm going.
Yeah, I'll just go and open a business and then tell them that they have to pay me.
Yeah, take it or leave it, right?
That's how that works,
Hey, Justin.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I wanted Megan on this episode is I was looking through her one of her Facebook feeds, and she was doing an open house, and she had one of the most delicious spreads I've ever seen. And I
Which spread
wanted to
was
fly
that?
to Portland just so I could eat that delicious food. So I was thinking to myself, in the back of my head, I was thinking, I got to get Megan on this episode so she can teach us how to have a great Thanksgiving.
That's very nice. I hope that spread wasn't store-bought. I don't know which one you're talking about, but that would be humiliating if it was all, Trader Joe's cookies or something.
That's funny. Yeah, I actually, last year was the first year that I cooked Thanksgiving for myself. Normally, out there with you, Paul, or going somewhere else to a family's house, and last year was the first year, both for me and my girlfriend to actually cook together, and got my daughter involved. She helped with the deviled eggs, but the turkey was an experience. So, because I've never cooked a turkey before, so I was like, well, what's good? Like, what have I had? Like, and what can I function, right? So I decided to brine a turkey. And so I was like, well, so brining, you create this salt liquid mixture with different seasonings, and soak the turkey for, I don't know, did I soak it for multiple days? I felt like I did.
Probably.
Yeah, I felt like it was like 2 or 3 days that the turkey was in there, right? So I remember what was in there, like, was molasses, and there was different seasonings like thyme, and I don't know what else. I just remember I wanted molasses in there. But so the size of the turkey I got, I didn't have like a bucket. So it's in this bag with this liquid, and I kind of like half cattywampus like stuck it in a pot. So it's like it's in a pot, the bag is protruding out all sides, and like I kept checking on it going like, did it pop? Like, is there a hole in it?
Poking at it.
I was so scared. Like, the amount of liquid and all of the ingredients in there, I could only imagine if that busted in the fridge and went everywhere, I was just gonna move. I wasn't even gonna clean it up. I was just gonna like pack up and just go. I was in fear that this thing was gonna bust, and I was like, no. So it turned out
And
great.
did it?
Yeah,
Oh, good.
yeah, it didn't bust. Best part of the dinner that the turkey didn't bust. So looking forward, if I did that again, I'd get a big enough bucket or something that could fit in the fridge to be able to do it. What I noticed from cooking the turkey is that it was good and flavorful. It was just inconsistent. It was like, oh, this piece here has a lot of garlic flavor. Oh, but this piece over here has a lot of molasses. So as a whole, the turkey like had several different flavors depending on the area that the ingredients settled.
Interesting. So it was like a turkey sampler.
Yeah, it was. It turned out well. Again, to reduce the anxiety, I would get a bucket of some sort or a cooler to put it in, to where I wasn't afraid that if it did bust, that I was going to have to move. So,
And maybe shake it every once in a while. Keep those ingredients
yeah,
circulating.
yeah, that probably would have been a good idea. But I was really afraid to move it or touch it
Yeah.
or look at it wrong. I was just like, as long as it's there. Hopefully it's doing what it needs to do.
Well, I have good news for you, Justin. It does not have to be that complicated.
That's good.
I have cooked. So I just figured out I've been doing a pre-Thanksgiving for 14 years. It's a friend. It's now called Friendsgiving. I was doing it before it's cool. But we basically invite all our friends over the week before Thanksgiving, so that when people, they have to go home for Thanksgiving, but we all got to celebrate together. So the first year, I remember we could not find the giblets. Just like desperately calling our mothers to be like, I got a turkey. I think there's giblets in here. I don't know where it is. And we never found them. So we just cooked the turkey. We were like, I guess we have one that didn't come with giblets. And then we cooked it and then went to carve it. And then a sack of giblets falls out.
Like, there it is.
Yeah, I really hope that didn't do something weird to the turkey. But it was fine. And in the ensuing 14 years, I have learned a lot more about it. And in fact, pre-Thanksgiving got so popular, largely due in part to my turkey cooking, that I started to cook 2 turkeys per pre-Thanksgiving, and sometimes also throw a ham in there, because we just have anywhere from 40 to 65 people coming over, and you gotta have a lot of turkey.
You got any extra
Jeff's
seats?
cooking 2 24-pound birds.
Yeah, I was going to say, out of 14 years, I've never been invited to this Thanksgiving. What's up with that?
Come on up. I just hit out the invites. It's in 2 weeks, so you guys are both invited.
Just hop on a plane, and
Yeah.
it's a quick jaunt for you, right? It's a little longer ride for me, but yeah, that sounds great. 2 different turkeys. So now, do you cook them differently? Because I know some people roast one or grill it, or all the different ways, right? Barbecue it, smoke it.
Yep. I did. In the first year that we attempted 2 turkeys, I did one on the grill because I wanted them both done at the same time. And I only have one oven. So I put one on the grill, and I read all about how to do it. and somebody said turned out to be the worst advice ever, but they said put the drip pan under the grill so that the juices are dripping through the grill. Your turkey is not sitting in its own juices, and it's collecting in a pan basically on top of the fire. That was a horrible idea because it smoked like crazy. So you kind of are smoking your turkey, but not in a smoker, and there's just this column of smoke coming up. And it also cooked way faster. We couldn't control the temperature, so I thought it was going to take like 4 hours, and it took 2 hours. And my neighbors were knocking on my door going, there's a giant bonfire in your backyard, right? But it was pretty good. And the secret to that was we cooked it upside down. So basically it's sitting on the breast part and the dark meat is on top. So the dark meat is juicier. So the juices fall through the turkey instead of, the light meat drying out while the dark meat is draining its juices. So there's a tip for you. If you ever do decide to grill, turn it upside down, but do not put the drip pan underneath the grill. Put the turkey in the drip pan and let it stew in its own juices for however long it takes.
Yeah, I really should have eaten before, we started this this podcast today. I'm starting to salivate, thinking about just tearing into a turkey leg right about now.
Rip that leg right off. So, I've learned a lot of ways to not cook a turkey. I've learned some tricks on how to cook a turkey. And out of necessity, I've learned the simplest way, because if you're doing 2 in a day, you're not going to make a huge deal out of it. I'm not going to put 2 turkeys in the fridge for 4 days while they're brining in molasses, So basically now, the other tip is you never carve a turkey in front of your guests, because it can be very messy and you're going to get your hands into it, and it's not the most appetizing thing. Nobody wants to eat a turkey that they saw you prying apart the rib cage. So basically, Paul's like, I'd do it. That's fine.
No, Paul's that look on his face, ugh, gross. I'm not eating that. Justin's hands were all inside of it.
No one's flying to Portland anymore for my pre-Thanksgiving. So now I cook one turkey in the morning. It's done by about noon, and then I pop the other one in. I can carve the one that's done. I can keep it hot in its roasting pan, and then I put the other one in, and it's done after 4 o'clock ish. And so the prepping the turkey, you have to defrost it. Make sure it's completely defrosted, and that'll depend on how big your turkey is and how frozen it is. So if you buy a frozen turkey and it's 20 to 24 pounds, it could take a week to defrost in your fridge. So make sure you have that much time. And then you can also at some point reach into the cavity, sorry for the gross word, and pull. There'll be ice chunks in there. Pull them out, because that's keeping your bird cold. So pull out the ice as it starts to fall out and reform in the center of the bird.
So remove the turkey cubes from inside of the turkey.
Exactly. And don't keep them because they're gross. What, Paul?
How often do you have to check that? The ice cubes in the turkey?
I would say once a day. And not on the first day, but toward the end. Days 2, 3, and 4, check the turkey and pull the ice out of the middle.
Sure.
So once it's completely defrosted, you're ready to prep it. I wish I had a turkey here to demonstrate, but
that'd
basically,
then mail it to me after you're done cooking.
Yeah. You got to get your hands between the meat and the skin, because that's where your seasoning has to live. So when you were talking about brining, did you leave the skin on the turkey?
I don't remember. I'm gonna say yes.
Most people do, and that's good. You want to cook it in the skin because that keeps some of the juices in.
Sure.
But it also, if you're putting all the flavor on the outside of the turkey, nobody's eating the skin. They're eating the meat. So you're not going to get these flavorful slices. So it's kind of gross, but you lift up the flap of skin and you stick your hand in there, and you got to work your hand all the way back to the rear of the turkey. So you're separating the skin from the meat.
This sounds familiar. I just don't have a vivid memory of doing this.
Maybe I'll make a video of myself doing it and send it to you guys.
Instructional, yes, please.
Exactly. You can put it on your website. So then I like to create a rub, and it's super simple. You don't even have to measure anything. All you have to do is put some olive oil in a bowl and add a bunch of spices that smell like Thanksgiving. So you're going to put parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme, just like Simon and Garfunkel told you. And I like garlic, salt, and pepper. If you are doing fresh rosemary, or either way, fresh or dried rosemary, just make sure you're chopping it up, because the little leaves can be sharp when you eat them.
Sure.
But so you rub all that stuff in the olive oil, and then you get it in your hands and you rub it in that turkey between the skin and the meat. And you just got to get it all over the meat. See if you can get it in the legs. It's hard to get between the skin on the legs, but you can rub it on the skin. And that's really it. And then you pop it in your roasting pan. There are also, okay, let me sidebar for a second. I'm on a crusade to eliminate single-use plastic. So I'm about to show you something that I don't actually endorse, but there's these oven bags. You can pop your turkey in here and you can cook it, and you don't have to baste it. You just throw it in at 350, cook it for however long you need based on the pounds of your turkey.
Got it.
And that's it. Comes out super moist and delicious.
I think that's what I put my turkey in, the brine it.
Yeah, see, exactly. And I don't like cooking in plastic.
Yeah.
It's just like, even though people say it's BPA free or whatever, it just always feels a little bit weird to put that in the oven. I prefer a roasting pan, which I got down for you guys just to show you.
Hey, we do have
That's my roasting pan.
That's massive.
Oh, yeah.
It is massive. And it's awesome because I just wash it and reuse it. I've had that thing for 10 years. I actually had it before I had an oven big enough for it. I bought it at an estate sale, and I was so excited. I was like, I got a roasting pan for my Thanksgiving turkeys, and then I tried to put it in the oven, and it wouldn't fit.
You could like bathe your animals in that.
Yeah, I could actually. Yeah, I could bathe my kid in that when he was born. But it's got a little rack on the inside to keep your meat from sitting on the bottom of the pan, and that's it. It's not like completely airtight, so you're going to get a little bit of steam escaping, which is fine. It keeps all the juices. It keeps it warm. Even after I carve my turkey, I put it in there and put the lid on and set it on top of the stove, and it keeps it warm for hours and hours. So I love my roasting pan. You know, it's not single-use plastic. It's awesome. You also only
Megan, did you put the stuffing in already, or you haven't put the stuffing in?
I never put stuffing in the bird. It's not advisable.
Oh.
So you should make stuffing on separately and cook it separately and serve it separately. You know, obviously turkeys are poultry. They can have salmonella. I don't want to eat anything stuffed inside of a turkey.
Even though we're cooking it and baking it and smoking it or whatever we're doing with it?
Yeah, because if you put that turkey in at 350 degrees for 4 hours, and then I was about to say, you get yourself a meat thermometer. I like to have two just for safety. Your internal meat temperature is only going to be 165 degrees when it's done. So if that's the outer, the meat,
inside,
like an inch deep, imagine all the way inside where you were pulling out all those ice cubes. Is that really going to get hot enough to kill bacteria? I mean, people have been doing it for centuries. I'm sure it's
salmonella
probably
stuffing.
Yeah, I'm not taking the chance with 65 guests. That's my stuffing might have.
That's fair. That's a good note. You know, don't put it in. And I've heard both. You always do some extra just in case the stuff on the inside doesn't get cooked all the way. But
yeah,
I'm curious. After like 14 years of having your Friendsgiving, like, there's got to be some funny stories or some like mishaps that have happened over the years. I see you laughing, so there's something coming to mind.
Well, I actually haven't lived this one down. So my very first pre-Thanksgiving in the house that I bought in 2010, I was all proud of myself, like single lady, about to have my first pre-Thanksgiving in my house. And I got a little bit ambitious, and I was going to make. I also had a classic like 1930s Bucks stove. It was gas, but, it was small, and it was kind of like the door was a little bit, difficult to open and close all the way. And didn't have like a hood or anything in my kitchen. So I got a little bit ambitious, like I said, and I decided to make Yorkshire pudding. Are you guys familiar with Yorkshire pudding?
No.
That's basically, it's like a British recipe. It's kind of instead of like a dinner roll. And basically the way you make it is you take a muffin tin, you put a little bit of hot turkey drippings in each of the muffin tins, and then you make this batter, you pour it in, and you put it in the oven, and the hot oil cooks the batter into these little puff pastry type of things, and you eat it in like with gravy and then turkey.
Is there raisins there?
No raisins.
Okay.
It's savory.
It's what?
You're thinking of bread pudding, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think so, yeah.
Paul, do you own a muffin tin?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Maybe you can try this recipe. But anyway, so the key to it is you got to make sure that drippings are super hot to the point where they're smoking. And so I took the drippings, I ladled them into the pan, and somehow I spilled, I think when I was putting the tin back in, and all those drippings went all over the bottom of the oven and just smoked. And you would have thought my house was burning down. Like, people were like running from every room and going outside and opening windows. All the alarms are going off. You know, I was kind of like, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. Like, my eyes are like tearing. We couldn't go inside for probably 30 minutes. Meanwhile, like, my turkey's cooking and I've got all these things on the oven and I'm trying to like host a party. I'm like, everyone just wait in the backyard. I'll be fine.
Did the fire department show up?
Fire department did not show up, luckily, but we did not have any Yorkshire pudding that year. I think we had to go buy some like Bisquick and just make some biscuits.
Because you had it substitute. You couldn't move on without it, right?
Exactly. You have to have bread. It's Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But you recovered, right? You know, like, you were able to get it. You're like, kinda.
I did recover.
There's nothing to see.
Exactly. My husband still will not let me make Yorkshire pudding to this day.
Got it.
I'll be like,
banned.
oh, we should make a little bit of that. And he's
like,
nope.
No, not worth it.
You guys were dating when that happened?
We were. That was our first pre-Thanksgiving together. Yes.
Hey, so it's very memorable.
That was a good test. He must have passed the test.
I guess. I was trying to show off probably for him, and it didn't work out, but he stuck around.
That's good. Pass the test, right?
Yeah.
Well, real quick before we dive in anymore, let's just recognize our sponsor real quick. So, our sponsor for the show, as always, is Frontline Standard. Frontline Standard is a veteran and law enforcement-owned company, and they are owned by Patrick, who is former Marine, who now works as a police officer, and he runs the company with his wife. And they created this apparel company to benefit, first responders and military, and to be able to give back in the way that they can. And a portion of every sale that they have goes to a nonprofit to help first responders and military and their family. And if you go on their website, frontlineapparel.com, you can go on there, use our discount code, Actions20. That's Actions20, and you can get 20% off your entire order. So again, Frontline Standard at frontlinestandardapparel.com. And I'm always wearing their shirts. I wear them to the gym all the time. It's great stuff. I know I'm bugging Patrick. He needs to get us. They have a new shirt that just came out. So
yeah, you need to get Patrick to give Megan a shirt now. She needs to sport it.
There you go. We can sport it in Oregon.
There you go.
Flood the West Coast. Frontline Standard out there. Yeah, I'll get with him. So, all right, where are we going now, Paul? Like, what's?
Well, I'd like to share a story, but I don't have like a funny story. I'm gonna tug at your heartstrings a little bit on this one.
Okay,
here.
I'm ready. I'm ready for my heartstrings to be tugged on.
Well, Megan and I, we met working at Disneyland many moons ago, and Megan knows this, and we didn't have any holidays outside of working at Disneyland when we were working there. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Eve, Easter, whatever you got, we were working. And as shared, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. So I was super bummed that I had the worst shift that, that shift, Megan, from 11 to 7, just morning kills your evening. You can't do anything. It's just, you're just there. So, sucked it up, went to work, worked my shift, and I came home, and my mom had a full meal, full spread waiting for me at 9:00 at night. And really, it really made my day, because I really thought I was going to have cold turkey, open it up, heat it up, by myself. But my mom made a point to have everything fresh, and she ate with me at 9:00 at night, and that's way past her bedtime. So I got to give her props on that.
That's sweet. Moms are the best.
I'm trying to remember, how long ago that was, because I don't really remember you missing a Thanksgiving. So maybe it was when I was
98 and 2002. That's when I worked there. So it was one of those years.
Man, Okay. I don't remember you missing one. So, I'm just thinking back, but I mean, that's awesome, that she's like, all right, I know this is, say it again.
I'm glad I was missed.
Yeah. Paul was here, right? Yeah. He was sitting in the corner real quiet,
No, that's how you know Paul was not there. He does not sit in the corner real quiet.
Exactly.
I mean, I know that you guys have gone through this, and not so much with my Thanksgiving, but you're in situations sometimes where you're with that kooky uncle, that kooky aunt, or that friend that just starts blurting out things. Is there a way to handle it so that it doesn't make the whole room uncomfortable? Do you guys have things that you guys do? Maybe you have a game that you play, or just to try to keep the peace in the room, especially with a lot of different personalities at the parties here.
Megan's like, I have thoughts, but I don't want to say names.
Well, Paul, I might tug at your heartstrings a little bit. I actually, pre-Thanksgiving was born of the fact that I don't ever have family Thanksgivings, or didn't before I had a family of my own. My parents have been divorced since I was 6 months old, and my dad always spent Thanksgiving with his family out in Indio, and it was like a 4, 5, 7 day extravaganza where they all camped out and had bonfires and whatever. And I did that when I was a tiny kid, when I didn't have any say. But when I got a little bit older, I didn't want to go camp in the desert for 7 days, or I had to work like at Disneyland or whatever, and so I couldn't do that. And then my mom remarried, and she went to her husband's family's house, and the kids were always sort of left in the lurch. And actually, I remember one of those years at Disneyland it was the day before Thanksgiving, and I had like a tickle in my throat, and I was like, oh, I feel like I'm getting sick. And you remember they used to say if you called in sick on a holiday, you would be like fired immediately or something. Like there was some kind of horrible consequence for like, do not call in sick on a holiday or wise deer shenanigans. So yeah. I said that in front of a manager, like, oh, my throat has a tickle. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I'm getting sick. And on the way home, I had to stop at 2 different gas stations to get like Halls or like things through my throat. Because I by the time I got home, I was raging with strep throat. And the next day I was by myself because my dad was camping and my mom was, off with her new husband. And I went to the doctor and they were like, yeah, you have strep. We're going to call in an antibiotic to the pharmacy. And I got to the pharmacy like 10 minutes before they closed for the holiday. And they were like, oh, yeah, we're closing. We're not going to be able to get this to you. And I wanted to like grab the girl across the counter, like, you will get me my antibiotics. I cannot live like this through the Thanksgiving holiday. And I just went home and basically laid on the couch and watched I think it was the Friends Thanksgiving episode. And my best friend at the time, Micah, dropped off Gatorade to me, and I couldn't open the Gatorade for some reason. Like there was something weird, and I was like, I can't even open the Gatorade, and it was like the worst Thanksgiving of my life by far. And so after that, I was kind of like, you know what, like Thanksgiving sucks. It's the worst holiday ever. I hate it. I never have anywhere to go. I'm kind of like, an island unto myself, and I had a pity party for probably the next 6 years. Until I made these wonderful friends that wanted to include me in their pre-Thanksgivings, and then I sort of took it over from them because I had a place to hold it. And now I've moved it up to Portland, Oregon, and now we have, 65 wonderful people that come and share it with us every year and bring dishes and their family traditions and all that stuff with them. So I think that's why it has a special place in my heart.
Well, that's awesome. You're able to recover from obviously a bad, situation. And
yeah.
Stuck in that.
My Thanksgiving trauma.
Yeah, your Thanksgiving trauma, recover from that, and then turn it into something to where, you're sharing that with so many people. And it sounds like, everyone there enjoys it. If you keep coming back, right? I mean, at least the food's good. If it's not the company,
exactly.
The food's great.
My friends always say it's their favorite holiday of the year. So we're doing something right over here.
What's your favorite snack?
My favorite snack?
Your favorite snack from Thanksgiving? A favorite appetizer or favorite?
I think stuffing is my absolute favorite. I would eat it on its own. I'll eat it for lunch the next day. Not the turkey. I mean, I love turkey too, but by the day 5 of turkey leftovers, you're like, more turkey. But man, I'll buy stovetop stuffing just to have in the pantry so that when I'm on that day 5 of the leftovers, I can make more stuffing to add to my other Thanksgiving leftovers.
Yeah, that's what I used to live on when I was like 19 and moved out of the house, was just stovetop stuffing and chicken
So good.
breasts. I would eat the family size all to myself and feel pretty good.
Snack.
Say it again, Paul.
What's your favorite snack?
Mine, it's got to be deviled eggs. I could eat those like all day long, like before the meal, during the meal, after the meal, the next day if there's any left. I would definitely have to say deviled eggs. And my daughter, we made them this last Thanksgiving, and she helped with the whole process. Like we did things I didn't even know you did, like put a little bit of pickle juice in the mix, and kind of gives it a little tang, a little bit of that salt. I'm literally salivating sitting here thinking about all this food. This was like the worst. I should have eaten a huge meal. I actually did eat before I came, but I'm still hungry now, thinking about eating the turkey and stuffing and deviled eggs. So I'm really excited for Thursday, so we can eat some more and watch some football and so.
Well, since you guys didn't ask me, I'm just going to say it. I'll tell you, dish or snack.
Paul, what's your favorite snack?
Well, it's a very complicated snack. You really need to get out the recipe book for this one. You take celery, you put cream cheese and chopped olives. I could eat that all day long. I love it. I just think it is the greatest snack ever.
That sounds disgusting and also not particularly Thanksgiving-y.
It's very Thanksgiving. I've been doing it since I was a wee lad. So, yeah, it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, I could go with Paul. Like I would have guessed. If you would have asked me to guess what yours was, I would have said that.
Wow.
Just
But
thinking.
you didn't ask.
Yeah, I did not ask. How rude
He
of
didn't
me.
have to. He already knew.
Yeah, I already knew. I
Sorry.
didn't need to
Just
ask. I
acknowledge.
just. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm with you, Megan. It doesn't seem Thanksgiving-y, but I think that Paul and I ate it for so many years. Leading up to it, like we would get full before the turkey even came out of the oven on deviled eggs and celery with cream cheese and olives. That when the dinner was ready,
Black olive, not the green, but the black.
Yes, black olives, not the green
Like
one.
the traditional black olives like you put on your fingertips.
Yeah.
That's one.
But
Gotcha.
we'd be full before dinner came out, and then it's like, all right, time to eat. We're like, well, damn, we've been eating for 4 hours before the turkey was ready, so give us a minute to sit down.
And then Paul's mom makes you a plate and you eat at 9 o'clock across the table from each other.
There you go.
A tradition was born.
How about a signature cocktail? Does anybody have a signature cocktail they have for Thanksgiving?
I love mulled wine, and I feel like Thanksgiving is the first start of the season where you could start making mulled wine. I wouldn't drink it with dinner, but after everybody's done and you've been drinking regular wine, it's kind of a nice top off.
Mold. So you said mulled wine.
Mulled wine, yeah.
Mulled, M-U-L-D.
M-U-L-L-E-D, mulled.
Got it.
And you can.
Sweet.
What was that?
That wine sweeter, or what's the significance of that one?
It's spicy. So you can actually buy it bottled at Trader Joe's. They sell it now, but it's kind of a German traditional thing that they do in the winter. And I make it in the crock pot. So you just get a cheap dry red wine, and you steep it with a bunch of spices. Like you can use black tea and cloves and allspice,
Oh.
cinnamon sticks,
Got
and
it.
just everything. Again, whatever smells like Christmas to you. You could put a little bit of orange zest in there. It's all delicious.
It's kind of like a
You can't really-
sangria, but more chunky.
and warm.
Yeah.
Served
Got it.
warm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've had that before.
One of those. I don't know if I could go a second helping of that. I think I'd be too full to have a second glass of that stuff.
I mean, it's like hot cocoa. Like you just you sip it. So you're not like you're chugging it down or anything.
Got it. Yeah, I can't even think about drinking anything. Like I'm normally on my fourth plate, and there's no room for even water. It's just like, all right, where can I go nap and then wake up and eat plate number 5? So,
Mulled wine
Okay.
will also help you go to sleep.
hey,
Besides the pumpkin pie, what else we got for dessert, guys?
I mean, I love pecan pie. I think that's better than pumpkin pie, in my opinion.
yeah, I think I'll just have another plate of turkey and stuffing.
What about
my-
you, Paul?
My favorite
What
pie
what is your dessert? What is your favorite dessert, Paul? I want to make sure. What is your
Since you guys wanted to know, begging me to answer this question.
please?
The boysenberry pie. I love the boysenberry pie. With
That's a
some
good one.
vanilla ice cream on top. A
Mhm.
wee bit, not too much. You know, I don't want to be a glutton about it. Just a little bit, you know, to you know,
Soak
a
in
little
there.
bit of ice cream, a little bit of pie at the same each bite. It really brings it together. Puts the
Mhm.
fire out.
Hey, Paul, I don't think we heard what your signature cocktail is.
My signature cocktail, you know,
The suspense
I
is
love
killing us.
you know, I wanted to be cool. I wanted to be cool right now and say an old fashioned. I wanted to say that so bad, but it isn't. I would say, I would probably say since I'm at a lot of times at my mom's house and she loves rum and coke. I normally probably just do a simple rum and coke with slice some limes up, squeeze it, and just kind of just go with that. You know, obviously, I didn't want to drink too much, obviously, because we got a lot of turkey to eat, and I don't want to look bad in front of Aunt Elma either. So,
I hope Aunt Elma's a real person. Did you know that Coke, one of the ingredients in Coke actually is like an anti-nausea type ingredient because Coke has so much terrible stuff in it, it would make you sick to drink it. So they have to put an anti-nausea in there. So that might actually help you after Thanksgiving, like calm your stomach down, get you ready for the next course.
Yeah, that makes me want to crack open a nice cold Coke and drink it right now.
This
Have
episode
some
not
good-
sponsored Coca-Cola.
Have some good anti-nausea.
well, yeah, we settled your stomach, right? My grandma would give me a little bit of soda if my stomach was upset. So I get what you're saying, Mick.
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
Absolutely. I drink it when I'm car sick.
Well, so Megan, what would be like your number one thing, or just like something to have the listeners take away as is in your whole experience in hosting these dinners? What's like a big takeaway if they want to host a dinner themselves, or what's like a plan that they have to have, or something that they need to have in place to be able to have a successful party for Thanksgiving?
I think this is probably going to be obvious, but I think the biggest takeaway is just not to put too much pressure on yourself. It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to have 1 million people. I mean, I've had pre-Thanksgivings at Marie Callender's because there were only like 4 of us in town, and no one wanted to, no one had a place where we could go, and so we just met up and had a turkey dinner. I've had probably 4 people over before. It doesn't have to be a huge gathering of 65 people where you make 2 turkeys. As long as it's a genuine gathering of people that love each other, and you're getting everyone to contribute something from their heart that they want to share with you. I think that's the most important thing, and that's the intent of the season.
I like that. It's not about the meal or the place. It's just about the people that are there and your intentions with each other. So I think
Absolutely.
That's really awesome. So you got something, Paul?
I just want to say, well said.
Well said.
Oh, thank
yeah. So we'll wrap up the show, and Megan, I heard that you have a question for Paul in our segment for Ask Paul Anything. So
Do you have a question?
So I will turn it over to you to ask Paul anything.
All right. Well, Paul, I'm assuming that you have seen the Avengers Infinity War and Endgame movies because everyone has.
I have not, but I'm familiar with movies.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm
Okay,
disappointed
so
with you, Paul.
I am very disappointed too. But so the overall premise, Thanos is the bad guy. He gathers all the Infinity Stones, and he snaps his fingers, and half the world population is wiped out.
The look of confusion on Paul's face right now is just priceless.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I got my fingers, less population, I'm good.
Okay, so the reason he wants to do this is because this is his misguided attempt to save the world. He's like, the world is overpopulated, all our resources are strained, I'm going to wipe out half the population, and I'm going to basically save humankind by killing half of humankind, right? It's sort of a conundrum.
Yeah, sounds reasonable.
Right, so my question to you, Paul, is if you had the power of the Infinity Stones, you could snap your finger and do one thing to save mankind, what would that be?
Wow. Deep question here.
I like the setup for that question, but yeah.
I didn't know I'd have to explain it that much, but there you go.
If I could snap my fingers and save mankind, I would probably clean up the forests. Nothing hurts me more than going to the forest or going camping and seeing a lot of trash all over the place. It just really hurts my heart. So if I could snap my fingers and get rid of all the debris so everything is beautified, if that's a word or not, so that we can enjoy Mother Nature.
I think that answer would pass for Miss America, Paul. So
World peace. Absolutely.
Poise.
Well, thank you, Megan. I enjoyed the setup for that question. And it's always fun to hear Paul answer those questions. So, Megan, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing some insights to your experience. Having those huge Friendsgivings and parties, and sharing a little bit of mishaps or some tips for people that haven't cooked a turkey before, or maybe have but didn't really know what they were doing. So hopefully everybody got a little bit of something to take away and use this week for Thanksgiving. So really glad to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was super fun. I'll come back anytime.
Great.
All right, for Megan Warren, Justin Atherton, Paul Fortune, we'll see you next week.
All right, see you next Monday. Thank you for listening to the show. Remember to leave a comment and tell us what you thought about today's episode. Follow us on your favorite podcast platforms. We're on Apple, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, and featured on Podbean. Follow us on Instagram at Actions and Limits and stay updated on all the upcoming content. If you have any outrageous questions for our section Ask Paul Anything, submit them to actionsandlimits@gmail.com and your question could be featured on the show.